Welcome back to another episode of Silent Pals Go to the Movies. This is another Throwback Thursday review. I'm here with my friend Touly. Say hi, Touly.
Hi, everyone.
And today we're going to be reviewing The Matrix from 1999. And just a fair warning, there are going to be spoilers up ahead, so you've been warned. A computer hacker learns from the mysterious rebels about the true nature of his reality and his role in the war against the controllers. Let's start off with my review. I'm going to go down my pros. Start off by talking about the directors, the Wachowski Brothers. When they did this film, they wanted to stay true to what influenced them, which was martial arts and anime movies. So they went, first of all, after choreographers for the Hong Kong movies, and they did not take no for an answer. One of the guys, they kept saying no, no, and no. Basically, they just wanted him. They just said, we're not going to take no for an answer. Later down the line, they just wanted basically this vision of an anime movie come into real life. And what we got was a phenomenal film, basically, according to a lot of anime fans out there. This is a film that is not an anime movie, but it feels like it's an anime movie. It's basically influenced by a lot of anime films and different genres out there. The cast, I think it was a pretty good casting. First of all, Keanu Reeves, to me, was cast as perfect Neo because he is a monotone actor. I'm not saying that he's really bad at acting. I'm just saying that he has just a narrow range of acting, sort of say. He can't really express too many feelings in acting. It's not bad to say in some actors. Like in his case in this film, it's a perfect fit. You know, it seems like for him in this role made a perfect sense as a robotic, monotone world, which he lives in. It's basically a system that he lives in, and he fits right in. Other characters in this movie that we come to know from other movies like Memento, 2 characters from that movie are in this movie too. It's just perfect. I believe also the casting here, Laurence Fishburne plays a phenomenal role here, and this sets up the whole series of this movie. So for me, this movie set the tone. It's an amazing, you can even not have the rest of the movies, and this is a really strong movie by itself. If you end this series with just this movie, is just, to me, is just perfect. I highly recommend this movie to anybody who has not seen it. It's high action packed. It basically makes you think a lot. It makes you think about society and how government and politics, oppresses people, how they control people. I'm not saying that, every government does it, but I'm saying that how they try to control you at some retrospect. Governments, politicians, businesses, corporations. Take, for example, Final Fantasy VII. We see that same commentary there, but this takes a little further and says the whole world is under somebody's control. It's one person who comes in, basically controls everything. So there's a lot of commentary in this. If you keep dissecting it, go further, it's the same thing as what Morpheus says to Neo. Do you want to go down the rabbit hole? Do you want to go further? And he gives him the option. So once you go down the rabbit hole, there's no stopping. You can dissect this movie even further, and I'm pretty sure that was their goal of the writers, what they wanted to do. They wanted to put layers upon layer of this movie. Once you think you're done, there's another layer you have to dig through. Now moving on to my cons. Once I go down and I kind of see things, there is some things I want to pick at, but to be honest, it's just going to be me just picking at it because I need to add something to my cons list. So I'm just going to basically be saying that it's just probably some acting here and there. It just some scenes. Overall, I want to say that I'm going to say there is no cons on my list. It's just I was really just concerned about the pacing of the movie, which was decent to my retrospect. Time-wise, the movie, I want to say is around 2 hours long. I don't know if they could have cut some things down or they could have done something differently, but I'm going to leave that to Touly, see how he saw that. To me, it just seems that they could have done some skinning here and there, some scenes that we could have done without. Yeah, some of the training for Neo, it just seems like we could have fast forward to those scenes that he needed to get, up and running and, see him fail less. montages, like we see in other movies. We want to see him kick butt more, instead of getting his butt kicked. So with that said, I'm going to pass it on to my friend Touly and see how he saw this movie and what grade he gave this movie.
So, The Matrix. It's definitely one of those films that really influence a lot of films and TV series that followed suit. Either concept-wise or just taking like very iconic scenes from the movie and plugging them here and there. Of course, I think maybe it's safe to say that the most iconic scene in The Matrix is when Neo does his whole slow motion down and he's bending backwards to avoid getting hit by the bullets. I mean, I've seen that parodied in so many things after The Matrix. So it's really difficult not to not look at The Matrix and to not think that The Matrix has not influenced our culture in terms of like the entertainment factor. And Sal already mentioned some of the good things about the film. The casting was good. And for me personally, when I watched The Matrix, when it came out, it was the film that introduced me to Keanu Reeves, Carrie-Anne Moss, and of course, Laurence Fishburne, who of course has already been like an established actor up to that point. But this was the film that introduced me to these three actors. And of course, there are several other actors in this film too, but I'm mentioning these three because I just came to know more about the work after The Matrix because of them being in this particular film. And Sal mentioned his approval for Keanu Reeves and the role he played in this film, but I also want to give credit to Hugo Weaving, who played, to me, like a very excellent antagonist. The way his character was portrayed, the kind of calm and collected but yet menacing figure that was going after Neo and the rebels who were trying to prevent the machines in the Matrix to succeed in controlling the world that they inhabited. I think from that perspective, I really enjoyed the film too, that there could be a villain like that who was kind of like a Terminator in a way, but the type of physique that he had, which didn't seem very intimidating, but it was just the way he carried himself, the way he walked, the way he talked. I know that maybe people look at, Neo and Morpheus, those characters to be the highlight because, they're the good guys. I also really enjoyed the villain in this film, which of course carried on over to, the next two movies as well. And of course, I'm also a big fan of, martial art films. I mean, we reviewed some martial art films already on Sal's podcast. And I mean, the film has action-packed scenes, which I love. And of course, they threw a spin on it again with the manipulation of reality and how they could use that to their advantage. So it did throw me for a loop, but in that, trippy sort of way where it's like, whoa, that's weird, but it works. I would say though, on my first watch of this film, it was, I wouldn't say it was difficult for me to grasp the concept. I would say it prevented me from enjoying what it was that they were trying to say because I was just trying to focus on the characters and their action scenes and, Neo's training and whatnot. But in terms of like them talking about the Matrix and how it kind of connects with reality and all that stuff, I don't know if they could have explained it any better or simplified it a little bit more. Because for me, it kind of got in the way of me just enjoying the film and not think about stuff. Not in the way where we were watching a film that revolves around a mystery or a crime that, we would piece things together and sort of come to some sort of resolution. I'm not talking about in that sort of sense, but in the sense of, what is the Matrix and what does it mean to be in the Matrix and how does it connect to reality and the people who inhabit reality and the people who inhabit this simulated reality. I don't want to say it's a bad thing, but I'm just saying it sort of just got in the way a bit because I was trying to at the same time just enjoy the movie for what it is, but it kind of misdirected my attention at times because I wanted to understand what this other world was so I could appreciate it. So I don't know if that's a con or something. If it is, then I would say if they were able to sort of explain that in a more simplified term so that it's easier to grasp. But again, when you're talking about these sort of stuff, I do understand that it is not as clear cut as they would like it to make it seem because that's part of the mindset that I would say they want you to be in because if you kind of just look at it from Neo's perspective, then I guess that's kind of what they were trying to project. Like, it's just really difficult to comprehend what reality is unless you really embrace it. And I guess that's where Morpheus sort of offers Neo the opportunity by taking either the red pill or the blue pill, and then you just dive even deeper. So from that sense, they did capture what it is that they were going for. But as an audience member, though, watching it for the first time, I had to go through it multiple times until I was able to like piece it a little bit more and more. And it's like, oh, okay, I get it now. And I guess that would sort of explain why the runtime of the movie was a little bit long. I think it's a little over 2 hours. It does feel like the film barely touched the surface of what they were trying to go for as well in this film. This was a film that introduced us to our main characters, established what the Matrix was, how Neo sort of got his training, how he became powerful to a point where he could start contending with the antagonist, which would then lead up to the sequel and then the trilogy. I mean, if I were to look at it from that perspective, well, I would say then that if they were able to reduce this movie somehow into either a sequel or a standalone movie, if it was possible or not. I don't know specifically if they were already set on making this into a trilogy, but maybe if they could have reduced it quite a bit, or maybe if they could have, reduced it to like a sequel and just leave it at that, because I'll come out and say right now, I wasn't a big fan of the third film, and that's why I'm saying it here in particular. This film being sort of like an intro to what the Matrix is, and then the next movie, having things all come together and end there. But for this film, just for being what it is, it's a great film. It's a great intro to what the series was going to be about. And also, in all honesty, kind of like how I feel about Star Wars, I'm not the biggest Matrix fan out there, nor am I like the biggest Star Wars fan out there. I'll watch the film because I'm a moviegoer. I like to watch movies. I like to watch TV series. And if it's good, it's good. And this film is definitely good. So I'm going to give this film a 8.5 out of 10.
I totally agree with you. I am a movie fan. I love action. I like martial arts. I like anime. And this movie shows that it's respecting those films and it's getting its influence from them. And another clarification, I said the Wachowski brothers. Now they're Wachowski sisters. So so people won't comment, just clarified myself, corrected myself there. I also want to say that, yes, you are correct with Hugo Weaving. He was a perfect Agent Smith. He was a perfect rebel to Keanu Reeves' Neo. They faced off. They kept their cool, but at the same time, the action was there. It showed in the scenes and everything, especially in this subway scene. That was like the perfect image of their character. Everything was just solid. Next thing, I don't know about you, but when I was in college, I had the screensaver of the Matrix, and I'm pretty sure everybody in my wing of my dorms, we had the screensaver of the Matrix just on the computers, because that's how it was. I mean, back then it was, if you knew the Matrix, you had it. It was you, it was like that. And the whole thing about the Matrix was, if you knew about the Matrix, you knew that it was influenced by martial arts movies, because if you were a martial arts fan, you had to watch the movie. If you watched anime, you had to watch the Matrix, because it was based on Ghost in the Shell. There's even a video on YouTube where it's side by shot scenes where Trinity's jumping off a building and it's Ghost in the Shell. It's scene by scene, and it's basically, even the directors come out and say, yes, we were influenced by it. And we talked to the director and producers of, Ghost in the Shells, and they gave us approval to go for it. They basically got written consent to go ahead and use it. It's the whole idea of like, we are paying homage to all forms of art, and this is their kind of like, tribute, to everything out there. Martial arts, anime and movies, action, even gunfights, because it's all in one, special effects. They revolutionized them with the bullet time and everything. And just saying it out there, was one of the first DVDs that actually was played in my PS2. And I still remembered it. It was not mine. It was lent to me by one of my friends. Widescreen DVD from the Matrix. And I'm going to give it the same grade as Touly did. 8.5 out of 10. I guess that does it for this review of the Matrix. Please join us next time where we're going to review The Big Lebowski.
Wait, let me explain something to you. I am not Mr. Lebowski. You're Mr. Lebowski. I'm the dude. So that's what you call me, you know? That or his dudeness or duder or, El Duderino if you're not into the whole brevity thing.
Please like, comment, and subscribe. You can find our social media links below. And like always, keep watching movies.